Alright, hello YouTube and welcome to today's video. Today's video I'm going to be doing Kaveh's Hangout Act 1 Ending Number 2. Wondering which one ending number 2 is? All you have to do is look at my description below. Future me will type out whichever ending I'm about to get. Me, I have no idea. But what I can tell you is Future Me will also be putting a link in the description below for ending number 1, and I highly recommend that you watch ending number 1 first so that you know what's going on here, because I am starting this midway through the story that we went through in ending number. So in ending number 1, we decided to try asking some of our old acquaintances to see if we could his just referring to his mother, um, so we might get some hints on how to open up the diary. Spoiler alert, we did, and we did. Um, but for ending number 2, I think we have to select that maybe we should just put it aside for now. Right? You're watching this video. If I'm wrong, probably just got to delete this video because there's no reason to watch ending number 1 again. Anyway, on with the story.
Yeah, you're right. Although I was hoping to find some words of wisdom from my mother, if I stop and think about it, her words may not be the advice that I need to hear right at this moment. Everyone's life journey is different. Traveler, you've visited many lands and met many people, so I'm sure you've run into situations where some advice wasn't exactly suitable for the situation at hand.
Oh, you
I
have
just got
no
an
idea
idea
how
though.
many times.
If I want to rekindle the creative passion that I had before, instead of trying to unlock an old notebook, why don't I take a walk around the parts of town that had changed my life?
Oh,
What
that
do you think?
sounds like a great idea.
I'm glad you agree. Then let's start by taking a quick stroll around the academia.
Not that I have anything against ending number 1, it's just I've already seen it. Go to the House of Dana. So, like I said, if you haven't watched ending number 1, I highly recommend you watch that. Um, I also consider for any of my hangouts, I always consider whichever one ending number 1 is to be my true ending, because, well, that's the ending that I got when I just chose whichever options I felt were most appropriate. Once I've gotten ending number 1, I'm now just doing the other, looking for the other endings just so I can get all the achievements. So if you watch all the videos in this playlist, you'll be able to uh, recreate any of the endings that you want. So if you're having trouble finding out how to get a certain ending, all you have to do is just watch that video. Although I would recommend you watch all of them if you haven't watched if you haven't played it yourself first, because uh, like I said, some of the endings like this one I'll start midway through, so you don't have to watch the same story over and over. Leave that for me to have to do. And also, someone had requested that I put a summary on how to get all of the endings without having to actually watch all of me play all the endings. If that's something that you're interested in, I'll give that a try for this one. But it is a lot of extra work for me to do. So make sure when that video comes out, if it's something that you're interested in, make sure you leave a like, all that stuff, particularly on that one, because that will encourage me to do
Of
more.
all the places in the academia, I remember this one most. When my studies got busy, I used to pull all-nighters here trying to finish my blueprints.
Sound like you almost miss it.
Who doesn't miss their time at the academia? Life was a lot simpler then, and we all had far less troubles. I created many designs that I thought were beautiful in the House of Dana. I drew whatever came to mind, since I didn't have to care about budget constraints or turning them into reality.
So What did you like to draw in the house today?
If I had to give a reason, it'd probably be because I like the ambiance here.
It's a
The
good
academia
reason.
also had a rule that allowed scholars to annotate any physical books they came across. As a result, the books here are chock full of scholars' wisdom across many generations.
Take a walk. Oh, others. I swear those books weren't here before. Wait.
Of all the places in the academia, I remember this one most. When my studies got busy, I used to pull all-nighters here trying to finish my blueprints.
Wait, do I have to do this again?
Who doesn't miss their time at the academia? I created many
Okay,
designs
okay.
that
I already heard this.
The academia also...
Wasn't. I got distracted by books. Those are gone now. Apparently, the game gave up on me. Thought I wasn't playing anymore. So.
Oh, here, this is a great example. This book, History of Ancient Sumeru Architecture, contains some analysis that I did many years ago. Huh?
Oh.
Why is Alhatham's handwriting also in here? When did he ever read this book? I guess it's probably from when we worked on that research project together. Anyway, he probably never cared to tell you this, but the House of Dana is where Alhatham and I first met. I came here to do my homework and saw him sitting by himself next to that row of bookshelves. A group of Haravatat scholars were chatting near him, but he looked as if he was too lazy to join them. There was a pretty stark difference between him and all the rest of them. It was my fault for feeling bad for him. I thought he must have gotten into some kind of trouble and went over to ask if he needed anything, not realizing that...
Not realizing that you were in fact the one in a whole heap of trouble?
Man, this guy's everywhere.
Alhatham? Why are you here?
The House of Dana is a public space. Anyone can come here, no?
But shouldn't you be at the records room at this hour? You're not here to watch me make a fool of myself, are you?
You think I would derive amusement from watching you fall into depression over your life's various troubles? If that's the case, then I suppose I must have been entertaining myself for years. I came here to pick up a few files. If your voice hadn't managed to get through my soundproof earpieces, I probably wouldn't have noticed you.
All right. I admit I was probably overreacting just now.
Well, I want to continue. Well, do you want to continue the story? I want to know what happened.
Probably not when he's right here with us. As his senior, I shouldn't try to tarnish his reputation.
There was nothing embarrassing or shameful about it. When I was still a student at the academia, I once collaborated with Kaveh on a research project. A collaboration is usually beneficial for all parties, but due to issues with our personalities, we ended up going our separate ways before completing the project. We had a number of differences, and they remain unresolved even today. But there's no point going into that right now.
Good.
The more important question is, why are you at the House of Dana?
We're going to go into other things. Oh, Kaveh's here.
As a senior scholar, isn't it my responsibility to offer my friend a quick tour and explanation of the academia's architecture?
I see. Then let me guess. Your next stop will be the pavilions around Razan Garden? Our famed architect sure loves showing off that corner to all his friends. Oh, and Kaveh, a lot of the books you annotated have been moved to the innermost section of that bookshelf over there. You'll have to dig them out yourself if you need to find them.
Huh? But why would you know that? Don't tell me you finally had an epiphany and realized that there's great virtue in respecting your elders' work.
Sure. if that will give you some self-confidence. Leave any words of thanks you may have to the ex-Grand Conservator. The last time he was here, he was complaining that he had received reports from current students. The main grievance being that the annotations are too long and difficult to read. As a result, the books you annotated have been moved to the back shelves.
What? But all of my annotations were extremely important. Instead of reporting me, they should have been thanking me for my service. The notes that I took, they couldn't have asked for a better analysis of those books. Okay, just you wait. I'm going to fix this right now. I'll dig all the books out and return them to the proper shelves.
Oh, we'll wait.
Well, waiting is about all we can do.
Anyway, you were about to say he's feeling a bit down?
He was put through the ringer recently by a particularly difficult client.
Put through the ringer. What an interesting phrase. I assume he used those exact words himself?
Yeah.
He probably did suffer quite a bit, that's true. He always spends a lot of time editing his proposals, with the goal of satisfying as many of the client's preferences as possible. But the satisfaction of one client will not translate to general satisfaction with his work. Many problems in life can only be solved by a fundamental change of attitude. As the leading genius of Ksharawar, Kaveh should have both the right and the confidence to reject any unreasonable demands. There are plenty of architects in Sumeru who are inferior to him in skill, yet far more irascible in temperament. What's more, there are plenty of people who look up to such individuals as paragons of staying true to one's principles.
So the problem is with Kaveh. Yeah, I would never have guessed.
Clearly, his predicament is inevitable, since he holds other people's feelings as more important than his own. Of course, each person is different, and we should respect the paths that they have chosen for themselves. Admonitions will serve no purpose. People tend to succumb to familiar pitfalls, and this is especially true for those who believe it's their duty to carry more burdens on their shoulders.
Looks like you were having an enjoyable chat while I was gone. Were you talking about me by any chance?
Maybe.
What do you think?
What else is there to talk about? Surely no one would be interested in talking about the files that you were browsing through earlier. Anyway, you should take a look at this. Look at this comment on page 82. Dear Kaveh, thank you so much for annotating this book in such detail. It was a great help to me. See that? Now that's how a student should treat their seniors.
And it looks like you're already in a much better mood now. It really doesn't take much to make you happy, huh?
Me happy? I'm mocking that retired blockhead for being so full of himself. He understands nothing about the true beauty of architecture. When I can find some time, I'll have a serious talk with him about making sure these books are put where they belong.
Why don't you just move all the books yourself? It's not like he hasn't cursed you out before. What was that nickname he gave you while you were in the academia? The Urchin of Ksharawar? Kaveh had a habit of scribbling and writing in all kinds of books.
Hey! You didn't need to bring that up. At least not when I'm still standing here. Oh, actually, I also found a really old sketch in one of the books over there. See? Doesn't it remind you of something?
Well, maybe it reminds me of an arch bridge because I can't really see the sketch right.
Huh? Don't tell me even you don't get it.
Don't ask me. This is the time you specifically put aside to brag about yourself. Feel free to hoard all the spotlight you want.
You? In that case, allow me to explain. Although this sketch is a little abstract, you can plainly see from the road plans that this was an original concept for the expansion of Port Ormos.
We can also plainly see that the designer was a huge fan of this project. It's the project he loves to talk about the most, second to the Palace of Alcazarzaray.
If I don't keep bringing up the neat projects that I've done, how would anyone know that I was the one who did them in the first place? There shouldn't be any complaints about Port Ormos. If I remember correctly, the construction process was very smooth, everything was made ready ahead of time, and there were very few safety concerns.
There are indeed no records of any complaints about this project. A most impressive achievement.
See? What did I tell you? Come on, let's take a stroll through Port Ormos next. I'll tell you all about the designs I made for the place.
Are you coming to Alhaitham? Please
No
say
need. It's almost time to clock out for the day, and I don't intend on bringing any unfinished work home.
Suit yourself. It's not like you know how to appreciate artistry anyway. Let's go, traveler. I'll take you to Port Ormos.
Kaveh is significantly more irritating near Alhaitham. Not. There are lots of starts. The almanac contains information on all kinds of. Let's do that without auto. The almanac contains information on all kinds of avian species in the Video Forest, with notes on their natural behavior and conservation status. A number of corrections have been made to listed figures. Judging from the handwriting, they must have been. Another one over here. Evolution of Ancient Literature. Brand new volume. Seems like very few people have been interested in reading it. There are almost no annotations in this book, but daring speculation made by the original author has been unceremoniously crossed out. Okay. Here. Graphical illustrations of ancient architecture. On opening the book, you're greeted by a series of beautiful images. Next to the lovely images are some notes and equally gorgeous handwriting. Commentary is extremely thorough and appears to be even more professional than the original. I swear there's always more things. The word last time. I don't see anything in this immediate vicinity, anything more in this immediate vicinity. Let me check the two achievements that I got. One of these is Memories of the Heart. Find the annotated books in the House of Dana. So that's what I just did. Looks like the other one is somewhat completely different. So I've actually finished this. Okay, cool. Check those off later. But yes, this is so clicking on those sparkly books over there is obviously a secret achievement. I probably put that in the description below. So hopefully you found that and you got your free Prima gems from it. You probably didn't need to spend as much time as I did. Now we're heading to Port Orm. Yeah, I think I mentioned this. I find Kaveh irritating at times, but I'm now starting to understand that I find him irritating when I have to deal with both him and Alhaitham at the same time. I feel like that's kind of the common thread of when that is most irritating. But anyway, on we go.
Port Ormos.
Did you design one of the buildings here?
No, I didn't design any one specific building. Most of my work here concerned structural renovation. Port Ormos had already existed since I was still a young child. It wasn't as large as it is now, though. It only came to its current size after a sizable expansion. I was part of that project. The arch bridge over there, for example. That was one of my designs.
How'd you come up with the idea for it?
When I was first tasked with the project, I decided to reference the growth patterns of nearby trees to split Port Ormos into 2 levels. My goal was to improve the overall utilization of space. We ran into a lot of issues during construction, but thankfully, we were still able to achieve the original vision. Residents can now behold all the ships entering and leaving the harbor from the vantage point of the bridge, while visitors can recognize the site of Port Ormos from a long ways away. I was still young and new to the trade back then. I could hardly believe that an idea in my head could become reality and remain in the world for many years to come. The true cornerstone of the creative process. The point about the design that will be ultimately used to judge its true worth. It was the first time that it became crystal clear in my mind. Once built, a building will continue to stand. Countless people will see it, and countless more will step inside it. Its final worth, whether it's good or bad, will be assessed by the countless generations of people that interact with the building during their lives.
That sounds reasonable. Sure, the residents of Port Ormos really enjoy it.
You think so? I'm glad to hear that. But even with this project, I still had one small regret.
Oh,
My budget was tight, and I was unable to use the higher quality timber I had originally intended for the design. I knew that some concessions on aesthetics would be needed as soon as I agreed to a proposal that prioritized the practical functions of the project. Us creative types know better than anyone that most projects cannot be completed without a few regrets. Even the Palace of Alcazar's was not perfect.
having no regrets would also mean you had no higher hopes for the future.
Yeah, you're right. I should learn to look toward future opportunities and believe that any regrets I have can be overcome in time. We've spent long enough here. There's still one last place I want to go, but it's a little far. Would you be interested in a quick trip to the desert?
Quick trip to the desert?
Great. Most of my projects over the last few years have had something to do with the desert, partially because there's a special place there that I often visit. This is a rare opportunity, so why don't you come along and see it for yourself? If you ever feel down, maybe you'll be able to go there and feel better too.
Heading to the desert. When I turn the casket of toes off, just in case. Where are we going? That's yeah, I thought it was either Aru Village or Caravan Reef. Don't see any. Oh. Way over here. Dune of Magma. Okay. Sure. This is much farther into the desert than I thought we were. Might see some primal constructs out this far.
Who would have thought that so many primal constructs could have congregated here while I was gone?
They're
I won't be able to
always
sit
here.
and talk peacefully with these guys around. Let's clear the area.
Let the show begin. Oz, reveal thyself.
Ah, there's three of them. No, they won't be here for long. That's two down. There it is.
By royal decree.
And done.
Isn't this place great? I often come here to clear my mind when I'm dealing with a difficult situation. You know what I mean. Everyone finds themselves in frustrating situations once in a while. Just take me as an example. My family life got shaken up quite a bit when I was young. I struggled in school, and I got into a huge pile of debt building the Palace of Alcazarzare. Although Alhaitham thinks that it's because of my personality that I continue to live in the shadow of the past, I think it's also just a part of life. Plus, if I look back, I've honestly had my fair share of good luck as well. You could probably say I followed in the path of my mother. Like her, I've gained a name for myself as an architect, built something that's seen as my magnum opus, and found many projects that others have entrusted to me to finish.
You also haven't completely lost your passion.
Life is too boring when you live with no enthusiasm and passion. Only those who believe in the inherent meaning of it can capture the small nuances of everyday life and turn them into inspiration for beautiful designs. Of course, I will concede that loving something also means taking it to heart. So to an extent, caring is also a source of pain. If I didn't love my work, I wouldn't be so torn up about it all the time. But still, isn't this place beautiful? Despite the erosion from the winds and changing seasons, you can still perceive its past beauty and glory. With
Yeah.
different landforms come different architectural styles. The desert's history has left it with few records regarding its buildings, so I often visit the desert to investigate things in person. The site here has moved me ever since the first time I laid my eyes on it. I told myself that one day, I would also be able to create buildings that move others. My pain will one day fade into nothing just as I reach the end of my life. But buildings are different. They are far more valuable than most materialistic things, and far more durable than human flesh. As long as there remain souls in the world who can decipher the meaning behind them, they will also have acknowledged me across the vast stream of time. If you were to ask me what art is, that would be my answer.
That's a pretty good answer.
You think so? But I feel I've always been like this. Remember that question I brought up before? The one about whether I should see art as a divine gift of inspiration from the gods, or as a product of my own existential struggle. I still haven't found an answer to that yet, but if art wasn't inherently paradoxical and enigmatic, then people probably wouldn't be drawn to it. Those who pursue art will be unable to avoid the pain that it naturally brings. Will often be floating on cloud 9 one second and sinking in a mire the next. I'll try gathering my thoughts again once I've found a way to define art in the first place. In any case, thank you so much for listening to everything I had to say.
All right, that's it. That is it. Beneath the stars. Looks like I got another achievement. Let's double check the achievement status. Interesting. What is that? Never mind me. I'm just. There's. Okay. All right. Wait. Look at that achievement real quick. Okay, so an architect's romanticism. Chat about the future with Kaveh in the desert. Okay, sure. Two secret achievements and one ending. Oh, hopefully you enjoyed those 10 prima gems from this ending. Boy, they usually don't put them both in the same ending. But anyway, that will do it for me for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to this channel. Also, consider following me on Twitch as I stream Genshin Impact twice a week there. Leave a comment below if you have if saw anything in particular that you think I did well or anything you think I could improve on. And I will see you in the next